Right. Good morning. Good Monday morning. Welcome to the Millionaire Mindset Book Club. We're reading Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. And so today we're on chapter 12, right? The power of precision. We'll get to that in just a second. So we're on track. We will finish this book by I think the 24th, right? There's 21 chapters. So I think it's the 24th is the day we'll be finished, and we'll start another book. And so we're going to do the next book we're going to do is John Maxwell's No Limits, right? So we're on a theme here, unlimited power, and then we're going to go to no limits after that. And there are 83 days left. 83 days left in 2023. Remember the things that you do for real estate, right? Obviously, if you're in real estate, the deals that you are doing now, the deals you have in escrow, the buyers you're working with, the sellers you're working with now are a result of the things that you did in the last 60 days, 90 days, etc. And so the things that you're going to do in January are going to be a result of the things that you do now. So start thinking about that in your business. Time to start putting your business plan together for 2024. But that's a different subject. So today let's talk the power of precision, right? It starts with a quote, right? All of his chapters start with a quote, and this one says, "Human language is like a cracked kettle on which we beat out tunes for bears to dance to, when all the time we are longing to move the stars to pity." Really, what he's talking about in this chapter, the power of precision, is about the power of your words, right? The power of your words. Rudyard Kipling said, "Words are the most powerful drug used by mankind." We can all think of times when words did seem to have their magical, intoxicating quality, right? He's talked earlier about a couple of psychologists, right? John Grinder, and Richard Bandler. He said when they studied successful people, they found a lot of attributes in common. And one of the most important was precise communication skills, right? A manager has to manage information in order to be successful. And he says Bandler and Grinder found that the most successful managers seemed to have a genius for getting to the heart of information rapidly and communicating to others what they had learned, right? Key phrases and words that conveyed the most important ideas are delivered with great precision, right? So in the same way that precise language has the ability to move people in useful directions, sloppy language can misdirect people, right? And so in this chapter, we're going to learn about some tools that will help you communicate with more precision and effectiveness than you may have ever had before, and learn how to guide others towards that same outcome. And really the key here is what the precision that he's talking about here is really the words that we use for ourselves, right? And you think about the goal setting and stuff, the goal setting exercise that we did, we talk about getting specific, right? I mean, don't say I want more money. Say this, I want a gazillion dollar, whatever the number is, but be precise, be specific, right? There are simple verbal tools that any of us can use to cut through all of this verbal fluff and distortion that most of us get caught up in. You ever talk to somebody and you just want like, oh, come on, get to the point, right? We've probably all seen those or have, been involved in those conversations where you just want the person to just say what it is they're trying to say instead of all this extra stuff around it. And a lot of times that's our challenge, right? Our challenge is to be able to wade through all the fluff to get to the stuff that's important, right? And so when we communicate, right, whether we're communicating to other people or whether we're communicating to ourselves, we want to be concise, right? So is how do I get whatever he says, how do I get whatever I want? He's talking about in his seminars, right? He says in his seminars, he tells people that, he said, I tell them I'm going to show them how to get whatever they want. In fact, I tell them to just write that at the top of the paper, write this at the top of your paper, how to get whatever I want. And then he goes through this long build up. And then he says, he gets to the magic formula, and he says, how do you get whatever you want? Right? How do you get whatever you want? Ask. That's it. Right? Yeah, that's it. He said, that's it. End of lecture. Right? And he said, he's not kidding. Right? Ask. Don't whine. Don't beg. Don't complain. Don't plead. Don't grovel. Just ask. What is it you want? Right? To learn, he said, what you need to do is you need to learn to ask intelligently and precisely, right? That's the whole don't beg, all of that kind of stuff. Learn to ask intelligently and precisely. Learn to ask in a way that helps you both to define what you want and to achieve your outcome, right? So in the last chapter, we talked about formulating specific outcomes and goals and activities that you wanted to pursue, right? Remember your list, right? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? Right? Now, he said you need some more specific verbal tools. So 5 guidelines, right? 5 guidelines. That's our challenge for today. Get through these 5 guidelines. Number 1, ask specifically, right? Describe what you want. Describe what you want, both to yourself and to somebody else. Right? How high, how far, how much, when, where, how, with whom, right? If your business needs a loan, you'll get it if you know how to ask. You won't get it if you say, hey, we need some money. We need a little bit of money to expand a new product. Can you give us some, right? No, you need to define precisely what you need, why you need it, and when you need it. Be able to show what you're going to produce with it. And again, be specific. If you say, I want more money, Tony Robbins says, I give them 2 quarters. There you go. You got what you asked for, right? More money. Number 2, ask somebody who can help you, right? It's not enough to ask specifically. You have to ask specifically of somebody who has the resources or the knowledge or the capital or the sensitivity or the business experience to be able to help you, right? If you're having trouble with your spouse, your relationship's falling apart, he says you can pour out your heart and be as specific and honest as you want, but if you don't seek help from somebody who has a good relationship, it won't do you any good. If you're asking somebody who's in a bad relationship, you're probably going to get bad advice. Right? So find the right person to ask. It brings us back to the importance of learning how to notice what works, right? Remember, we go way back in the beginning, right? Talk about being able to see what works, and if it doesn't work, to be flexible enough to redirect our actions, right? So find the right person to ask. Number 3, create value for the person that you're asking. If you just ask somebody to give you something, what's in it for them? How can you help them first, right? If you have a business idea, you need money. One way to do it is find somebody who can both help you and benefit from your business idea. Show them how your idea can make money for you and for them. And remember, it says creating value doesn't always have to be that tangible. It doesn't always have to be money. The value you create might just be a feeling or a sensibility or a dream. He said, if you came up to him and said, I need $10,000, he said, so do a lot of people, right? So do a lot of people. But if you came up to him and said, I need this money to make a difference in people's lives, he might start to listen, right? So create value for the person that you're asking. Number 4, ask with focused, congruent belief, right? Focused, congruent belief. When you go into a conversation with somebody and your ask is wishy-washy, right? Or your communication, I'm going to just say communication is wishy-washy, right? You ever ask somebody a question and and their answer is more like a guess than it is an answer, right? Cookies, what do you get? What do you get if you put a bunch of, what do you get if you put a bunch of ingredients into a pan and put them one little spoonful on a flat sheet, put them in the oven? Cookies, right? It's a guess. It's not an answer. Or when somebody tries to convey why they should why you should work with them, right? And they're just wishy-washy, right? That doesn't work, right? So when you ask with a focused, congruent belief. You have to believe what it is you're asking for is good for you and good for them, right? Number 5, ask until you get what you want. Now, that doesn't mean going to the same person and asking. You might have to ask different people, right? It doesn't mean asking in precisely the same way, right? You might have to switch it up a little bit. The ultimate success formula says you need to develop the sensory acuity. You need to develop that sensory acuity to know what you're getting and to have the personal flexibility to change, right? So if you're asking and it's not working, maybe your ask is wrong, right? Maybe you need to ask in a different way. So when you ask, you have to change and adjust until you achieve what you want, right? When you study the lives of successful people, you'll find over and over again that they kept asking, kept trying, kept changing, because they knew that sooner or later they would find somebody who could satisfy their needs, right? The hardest part of the formula is the part about asking specifically, right? So again, you got to get precise. You got to get laser focused on what it is you are trying to get, right? And then he goes, this portion of his, this 5 steps is the longest explanation, right? Because remember, we talked about all the fluff, right? We talked about having that conversation with somebody who just never seems to get to the point, right? Don't be that person, right? Don't be that person. Don't assume, right? Don't assume that your message is getting across, right? Be specific. There, I don't remember where I read it, and I don't remember all of the, I don't remember all the exact language behind it, but the gist of it was that when you have a conversation with somebody, there are actually multiple conversations going on. There's what you said, right? What you think you said, what you think the other person heard, right? What the other person actually heard, what the other person thinks you said, right? So that's why precision is so important, right? We need to be precise in our ask, and we need to make sure we get some feedback, right? We get some feedback to ensure there's understanding on the other side, right? And so a lot of times, Tony Robbins says that our language is lazy, right? Our language is lazy. It is filled with wild generalizations and assumptions, right? We don't get, we don't get laser focused. So on page 222, if you've got the book, he talks, there's the model that he uses of 10 fingers, right? So the left hand is thinking about, he says the pinky is using words like all or every or never, right? Those are not effective, right? Because they're super generalizations. What would happen if you did something, right? What causes or prevents something from happening? Number 3, and these are things you need to think about in your communication. How specifically is your ask going to work, right? Who or what specifically are you going to ask? And then compared to what, right? He said, take your hands one at a time. He says, move them up and to the left of your eyes so that your eyes, so you're like this, right? Up and to the left, and look at your fingers one at a time and say the words over and over again, and then go to the next figure and the next until you memorized one hand. Do the same for the other. So the things that you're going to ask, the questions that you're going to ask, using this precision model, you can see on page 222 of the book. Yes, I could show it to you, but no, it doesn't work that way. And we really don't have, we could probably go a whole 15 minutes just talking about that model. But think about being precise, right? Let's just go with that. Think about being precise in your communication, right? Think about outcome questions, right? What do I want? What's the objective? What am I here for? What do I want for you? And what do I want for me, right? So when you're having these conversations, I know that's a little vague, right? That's why it's important to have the book, right? It's important to have the book. So that is the power of precision in our communications, right? Don't be wishy-washy, right? Don't be wishy-washy in your asks, right? There's another book, and I think I gave it away. It was written by it's written by the guy that wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul's books. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But anyway, he wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he has a book. It's called Ask, right? It's called Ask. It's a very good book. It's one of the books that we've done in the book club in the past, and I've had several people say that that's been their favorite book to date. Ask, and by the Chicken Soup for the. But if you just Google it or go to Amazon and pull that up, right? Ask, but be specific, right? Get your language right. So, okay, that's it. Remember, we're on track to finish Tony Robbins' book up in a little over a week, right? Like 2 weeks from today. And then we're going to move on. The next book we're going to do is John Maxwell's book, No Limits. I'll put a link. I will put a link in the on the book club, on the Millionaire Mindset book club page, for a link to Amazon to get the book, if you would like to do it that way. So that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed this, leave us a comment, right? Or you watch the video later, or you're watching this on Facebook, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. What do you think about the power of precision? Let us know how this, how it feels to you to be more precise with your communications, and the importance of that. And give us a like, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning right here, Millionaire Mindset Book Club. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.